Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unleash the Power of Your Voice with Arthur Samuel Joseph. I'm Charissa Sims, live event host for Humanities Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And I'm coming to you live from Lafayette, Colorado. We are thrilled to have Arthur Samuel Joseph with us. Welcome.
I'm thrilled to be here. What Humanities Team is doing and my dear friend Steve Farrell, all very close to my heart. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And where are you connecting from today?
The San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles.
Wonderful.
I'm in our backyard here in Encino.
Encino. Oh, that's wonderful. I lived in Lake Balboa. So I know Encino very well. My son went to school there.
That's great.
Well, I want to welcome Arthur's audience, also the Sign Network, those live streaming through Humanities Team Facebook page. Welcome. The Humanities Team YouTube channel, and also Stream Plus members that are here in the green room with us. Thank you so much for being members, and some of you that are even on camera. So because it is a live program, we'll have time for comments or questions for Arthur. So try to get it in within the first 30 to 40 minutes of the program. Feel free to post it in the chat wherever you might be listening from, and you'll get your question answered by Arthur. I'd love to share a little bit more about him. His experience is incredible. I loved learning about you, Arthur. Arthur Samuel Joseph, founder and chairman of the Vocal Awareness Institute, is a leading authority on human voice. His transformative vocal awareness method, grounded in his MA, his master's in music, and studies in philosophy, psychology, and spirituality, focuses on enhancing leadership and personal presence through vocal techniques and storytelling. With a 6-decade career, Arthur has taught at prestigious institutions such as the University of Southern California, Yale, and New York University, impacting leaders worldwide. He advocates for genuine human connection in an era increasingly dominated by digital communication, emphasizing the importance of preserving public discourse amidst technological advancements. His mission, to change the world through voice, highlights his commitment to empowering individuals to fully realize their communication potential. So I'm so excited to learn more about this, Arthur. Can you share the moment or experience that first ignited your passion for voice that led to founding the Vocal Awareness Institute?
What an interesting question. I knew when I was 4, music was my life, and I knew when I was 12 that singing was this direction. And at 15, one of God's gifts to me was my first voice teacher, to whom my first book many, many years ago, The Sound of the Soul, was dedicated, Mrs. Julia Kinsel. I'm 15 years old and Mrs. Kinsel is in her 70s. And in the middle of my lessons, I would literally behave in this bizarre way. I'd say, stop, no, don't want to do it like that. I hear it this way. Manically clamping my hands on my ears. Now, as voice teachers, we're omniscient to our students. We know everything because we're teaching this mystical art form. You can't put your finger on B flat like you can on a keyboard, for example. So we're teaching something that is mysterious. So our students tend to give all the power to us. But Mrs. Kinsel knew something about me I didn't yet know. I hear human voice differently than anyone I've ever met. I call it perfect pitch because when I hear a voice, I hear who you are.
Oh.
The title of this is authentic. What is what's the title of our today?
Unleashing the power of your voice.
The human voice.
Yeah.
And voice is capitalized because it's in the title. But also, when I speak about voice in this context, I spell it with a capital V because it refers to the inner voice, not just the outer one. The outer one is spelled with a lowercase v. So my entire life, if people look at my website, they're going to see such an array of highly recognizable names, but What is not there is also the privilege I've had of teaching Holocaust survivors. I've taught deaf
Wow.
people to sing. The youngest student I ever taught was 9 months. The
Oh
eldest,
my gosh, that's amazing.
the eldest around 100. And part of why I'm telling you this is that when you give me your voice, you give me who you are.
Mm.
And vocal awareness is a paradigm shift in communication. We hear that trivial phrase all the time, paradigm shift, but this really is. And hopefully, in our brief time together today, some of your lovely guests will be able to experience some of what I'm talking about.
I, I'd love that. I'd love that. And I was just curious when you're teaching this baby, what was the response in the parents and the baby and that connection?
Her mother was having a singing lesson with me, and she was holding her. And I said, Ciela, look at my lips, watch my mouth. And she did. And then I said, copy me. And, very, subtle. But the point is, she had focus on my mouth and she could match my pitch. And she became a beautiful singer. She's now in her early 20s. And like her mother, a musician, a guitarist, etc. And if at the I taught for many years in Los Angeles at the Jewish Homes for the Aged, and I had a choir there where the median age was about 88,
Amazing.
and they would come in, sit down, and my accompanist would come in her walker with severe arthritis in her fingers and everything, and then sit down to the piano and say, "What key do you want it in?" And then just tear it up. So it was just, God has given me profound experiences, to be frank. And now I'm paying it back. To change the world through voices is a big, big calling. And my goal has never changed, just as that vision has never changed. The goal is to help all those I work with to achieve their own enlightenment and enjoy their own empowerment.
Mm.
And just in that same context, I first met Steve. Does everyone know who Steve Farrell is?
Yeah, Steve Farrell, the CEO
Okay.
and co-founder of Human
Yes.
Needs Team.
Steve was a member of an organization called YPO. And I was speaking at an event on a cruise from Vancouver to Anchorage many years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow,
And
you've known Steve a long time.
yes, and Steve was on this cruise. And I taught singing class, I taught empowerment course. And one class I was taught was called Standing on Top of the Box. It was a business class on communication and business. And as I'm preparing in the morning, I'm thinking to myself, all of a sudden it occurs to me, how arrogant do I think I am that I'm going to teach about business to YPOers? And because these are already very successful people in
Yes.
the business community.
Young Presidents Organization, for those who might not know. Yeah.
And I thought, you're going to be able to shoot ducks in the gallery. Nobody's going to show up. And I come into the room. They had to pull in extra chairs. Steve didn't even have a seat in the room. He stood in the hallway. And because in YPO, if there's something that's going to benefit me, I want to experience it. And that's how Steve and I began a relationship. And he came to study with me, and it was just such a beautiful human being. So, but it began with him hanging out in the hallway. And so anyway.
Oh, thank you for sharing that story. I love that. And look at him now at 20 years at Humanities Team. Well, I'd love to share some tips with our audience. What is the first step in unleashing the power of your voice with a capital V?
I'd like everybody to sit up straight. Sit at attention, please. And you notice you hold your breath. That's what happens when we present ourselves, because we're seeking approval. How am I doing? What do you think of me? I don't ever want anybody to seek approval from a single person. I want us to claim our own power, our own identities. And so I never want you to sit at attention. Instead, I want you to embody yourselves as magnificent men and women of stature, feeling extraordinary about yourselves. And what we're going to do to achieve that is we're going to take this golden thread on our left or right hand, and we're gracefully going to pull it. I'm going to demonstrate it first and ask you to join me. I'm going to slowly, gracefully pull this golden thread from 3 inches below my navel. If you think of the Da Vinci drawing of the Vitruvian Man, 3 inches below the navel is the core of our body. So we gracefully pull from here. And as I'm doing this, when I'm going to engage the first ritual about here, the first of 7 rituals in vocal awareness is to say thank you to God, the goddess. Thank you to Source. You can be an agnostic and still acknowledge something and say thank you. It's a moment outside of your corporeal self to acknowledge. So I slowly and gracefully pull this golden thread. Within myself, I say my thank you. And as I'm doing this, I'm pulling it right up to the middle of my crown chakra. And my arm is fully extended. My neck and shoulders are loose. My chin is perpendicular like this. It's not down, it's not up. My arm isn't over here, and I don't do this. These are not calisthenics. This is bar work. This is all art. Very sentient. And so when we do this, we're only pulling from here. So here we go slowly together, embodying yourselves as men and women of stature, feeling extraordinary about who you are. And we stay up here, right in the middle of our heads. And as we do this, we pull taller and taller, loosening here, only pulling from the obliques taller. And we put our arms down, but we stay in stature. And you notice how your core is more engaged. You'll notice how your chest is more open. And when I asked you to put your sit and present, you held your breath. But now, what's the first thing your body does? We're just going to start it. Slowly pull this golden thread again and observe the very first thing your body does. Putting yourselves in stature. What have you already done? Somebody just volunteer it?
Inhaling.
You inhaled.
Breath.
Yes, I didn't ask you to, but that's the body's impulse when you
see.
claim yourselves as men and women of stature. Speech is habit. We don't think about it, we just babble. But in vocal awareness, I'm not just creating consciousness, I'm creating conscious awareness. The 6th of our 7 rituals is pay attention, deeper listening. So stature is preparation for connecting my inner voice with my outer voice. So I'm in a 360 conscious awareness with Source and Self at all times, to the best of my ability. Notice also how your space is quiet. Do you feel it right now?
But I enjoy the birds. I enjoy the birds in your background. Cheering us on.
But part of why I'm sharing this, it's because of the way I'm speaking with you. I've just made your space quieter. You feel it. Stiller where you are. Now watch what happens. We're not going to put ourselves back in stature. Just say thank you to God within yourselves, not aloud. Just take in the thought and embrace it. And what was the first thing your bodies just did? You inhaled once again. The root of the word spirit, spiritu, simply means to breathe. The root of the word inspire, inspirare, means to breathe in too. I do not want to motivate a single person. I teach all over the world. It doesn't matter if my work's translated into Japanese or Spanish or German or whatever. It's all about the breath. It's all about this level of conscious awareness we never even been cognizant of before. The Hebrew word neshama means both soul and breath. So you're about to discover how we use breath in a very consciously attuned way in vocal awareness. Hear how our dog's voice is connecting through breath? Okay, Dodger, thank you very much.
Giving us an example of that. Well, how do you define communication mastery, and why is it crucial for effective leadership and presence?
Let me demonstrate something first, and it'll tie into your question. Okay, Charissa?
Wonderful.
I'd like everybody to Put one hand in the middle of your chest, and the other hand, put your third and fourth finger on your Adam's apple, your thyroid cartilage. Right inside that is your larynx. And put your index finger against the base of your tongue, right there. Where my index finger is, where your index finger is, the strongest muscle in your body, the base of your tongue. Take and one hand in the middle of your chest. Take a nice deep top of the morning breath. Exhale. And you felt your chest rise, and you felt your larynx and tongue flex. Let's do it again. Nice deep top of the morning breath. Great to be alive. You don't have to raise your hand though, dear. That's okay. I'm doing it for you. Now, keep this hand here, but take the other one this time and put it under your armpit and wait for me. This time, team, we're not going to take a deep breath. Instead, we're going to allow a slow, silent, conscious, loving breath. I will guide it. It will take 5 seconds. We're sitting in stature. Neck, shoulders are loose. We feel source, and eyes only on me. As you can put your hand. Oh, yes. No, that's really good, Christine. Thank you. We're going to do this again now in 5. Deeper. 3. Deeper. Deeper. Allowing this loving breath deeper. Deeper. And notice the chest did not rise, but the rib cage expanded. This did not constrict, it relaxed. And your internal and external space are quieter. You can all put your hands down. And I'm introducing here, and to come back to what you're asking, Charissa, a breath is not only physical, it's spiritual and emotional. We trap trauma in breath. I'm teaching communication mastery. I'm a classical singer by training. I've taught a gazillion elite athletes over all these decades. My 30th NFL player is being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this August. And all my NBA superstars are all, they call first ballot. They got in first time they were nominated. My last one was Dwayne Wade last August in Massachusetts. And it created a concept that a champion does it differently. You're part of humanity's team. You could be watching Days of Our Lives right now, but instead you're seeking to enhance your life experience and contribute to the lives of others. That's a championship mentality to me. Most, if not all of you lovely women in front of me are mothers. And you'll remember when your beautiful baby was first born that they need a lot of oxygen fast. So the breath they take is called an intercostal diaphragmatic breath. Who cares? But that's what it's called. It's the breath of a newborn. My entire upper body expands as a bellows because I need oxygen immediately. So when I returned you to this conscious loving breath, let's all do this again, please. Allow its stature, a slow, silent, conscious loving breath, and slowly begin. Eyes only on me. In 5, deeper. No, not so fast. Let's start again. Here we go again. Loving, not anything else, not taking, allowing, loving. And lovingly begin. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Doesn't that feel wonderful? Instantly, everything is stiller. That's the breath of a newborn. As a newborn, we do this volitionally, we just do it. But then life intervenes and we lose it. So I'm not teaching you something new in this moment. I'm showing us what we've given away. This is a primal breath. And we use it in every moment. People ask, who's my target audience? I said, I sell air. We all have to breathe and we all have to talk. And so here, as you learn vocal awareness, in every exchange, we can invoke spirit. And we connect it to the sound of our voice, and we have a warm-up, which I won't take time to take you all through at the moment. but here's one of our warm-ups. I take my trusty handkerchief. I'm going to do a quick warm-up. And now you hear my voice has more resonance in it. It's fuller, it's richer. I take that one step fuller, another exercise, and all of this on my website and everywhere. What a bizarre thing to do. What I simply said was, you are extraordinary people, and you do extraordinary things. You hear the presence, the resonance. See how my eyes talk with you. The mouth is where the words come from, but the eyes tell the story. So when I say this is a paradigm shift, I'm not just teaching consciousness, that's trivial. I'm not just teaching awareness, that's trivial. I'm teaching a 360. I'm training conscious awareness, intra and interpersonal. In mastery, that great athlete I teach, or that great artist performing on stage, is in mastery in their skill set. They leave the performance arena and now they're just hanging out again. But in vocal awareness, there is no off switch. We want to live in this state. Am I answering your question, Charissa?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very inspired.
I can't hear you, ma'am. I can't hear you. No, I can hear you. That's my stupid way of saying, let's be in the work for a moment and put yourself in stature and feel your loving breath. And so your listeners can experience the difference. Let me guide it. And what did you want to say?
Well, I feel inspired that you said, let's live it. Let's not just speak it.
Now, you feel the difference, everybody, of course. You feel it too, Charissa.
Yes.
But also, Charissa, did you notice you were monitoring, you weren't editing or censoring, but you were tuned into yourself a little bit, listening to what you were saying. I was guiding it. I was talking to your unconscious.
Okay.
But you did it. And that's the sixth ritual. You were paying attention and listening deeply. I just wanted your audience to hear that, because the first time you began, it was with and was faster, and the pitch was higher. This time you were more present, and that's what we want. Speech is just habit, but we don't want to speak in the habit. We're not our behavior. This is mastery. So then we can create what's called your persona statement. The root of the word persona. Did you want to say something, Charissa?
Well, yeah, I would just love, I have a clip to play. We have an incredible class that Arthur Samuel Joseph has put together on Stream Plus, and it's talking about some of this, like the paradigm shift. And it's called Achieve, Reclaim, Achieve, Reclaim, and Command Your Destiny. And you talk about this. So I just would love to play that first clip.
How long is that clip? Do you know?
About a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for creating this with us. It's just very, very special to be here. And vocal awareness, this is my 56th year at the creation of this program, has always been about one thing: sovereignty, supreme excellence, or an example of it. Speech is habit. We never think about it. But in this program, we're really going to learn for the first time that speech does not need to be habit. Rather, this work is a paradigm shift. So we're going to begin by teaching conscious awareness so that we get out of the white noise of behavior, the day-to-day ordinariness of how we talk, and begin to identify with something far more special about us, far more integral about us, that we were never even aware of.
noise. I didn't know that existed. That's fun. I tell people I'm the Cro-Magnon man of technology, and my dear friend Genesis Castillo just takes charge of it all.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm glad we could bring that to your awareness that you have this incredible course on Stream Plus. And this is for people that aren't Stream Plus members or that are Stream Plus members that may not be aware of it either, because we have so many courses, 175 courses, one added every week. And so, but just what you were saying in that clip there about the white noise, how do we get out of the white noise of the day to day?
Self-correcting, listening deeply. Let me return to the persona statement concept I was going to speak about.
Okay.
The root of the word persona is an Etruscan root word, which simply means through the sound. One's identity is largely conveyed through the sound of a voice, and an opinion created instantaneously. If there's anybody I could randomly ask, how did my voice make you feel in that 1 minute clip?
Yeah.
Think about this man.
We don't typically bring people, it's just us talking, but yeah, I mean, you could ask me.
Okay, I will. Did you pick up anything about this man?
About you?
Me? Uh-huh. When you just watched that stranger on screen, how did he make you feel?
Well, it made me feel safe. Your confidence and certainty in who you are and your embodiment of that.
Now, what if I speak to you like this, Charissa?
That would make me not feel safe. I feel like you're authoritative, like not empowering me to be myself.
Perception is reality. And I want us to be in charge of how we want to be known. That clip is me. This one is not me. But you see how quickly something shifts. And so the persona statement has 4 parts. You answer one question first. How do I believe I'm presently perceived? And an accompanying drawing that reflects that image. You answer the second question. How would I ideally like to be known? How would I ideally like to be known? First to ourselves and by extension, everyone else. And a drawing that accompanies that. Then it raises a really interesting thought. I didn't know I had a choice. Yes, and that's the point. You see, every single thing in life, if you think about it, revolves only around 2 things. To choose to do something or to choose not to. Never matters how scary, how seemingly daunting. All that matters is I made a choice. But in vocal awareness, I only want us to make empowering choices. None of us got to anywhere in life unscathed. This journey is not for the faint of heart. Which is why the 7 rituals begin with thanking Source, because it creates a sacred and safe space. I said early on that these are not calisthenics, these techniques. This is bar work. It's art, like the dancer stretching on a bar. So we don't just do it like we're doing jumping jacks. We do it mindfully, attentively. And as I speak, and as you reflect on what we're doing today, notice how your space feels. Even if you can't interact with me, I know how it's feeling. And so with our persona statement, we claim our power. And then through these exercises, we learn how to embody when we identify that we want to be known as. This work is rigorous, lovingly so. It's meticulous, lovingly so. I'm not at all interested in perfect. I could care less. But I am really passionate about excellence. But my responsibility is not to you. It's to what I always refer to as God and the work, the capital W work, the big work. So in vocal awareness, I'm enabling you to extract cork from bottle. You don't get to be the cork in your own bottles anymore through this work. And one of the key theses in that regard is the concept of surrender, serve, and soar. S-O-A-R. Surrender means literally to yield or to give back, to be in service to our vision, to our calling, to our persona. We serve that and we soar. But perhaps it's much easier said than done. People say, sociologists have taught us for decades that the greatest fear in society is public speaking. That's totally bogus in the name. That's stupid. If there are any sociologists here who believe that, I'm sorry, it's wrong. The greatest fear actually are two fears: fear of abandonment and ownership of my power. Claiming me and not being afraid of what you think of me while I am being me. We're infants, toddlers, sitting in church, synagogue, mosque, a temple, being held by a loved one. One of the intrinsic ways, instinctive ways to explore our universe at that age is through our voices. We're discovering through our voice, in part. And we go gaga and goo-goo. And this loved one does what? Gently pats us on our back and says, shh. And socialization begins. That's not done, of course, to be harmful. It's just part of the social contract. Can't make noises in church or temple or synagogue or mosque. And we begin to shut down before we even open up.
Mm.
And then as we grow older through childhood, worse things happen. Perhaps parents fight, or worse. In school, children taunt, or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Until we reach adulthood and we think we've chosen this. But in point of fact, we abdicated before we even got started. So in vocal awareness, there's a hugely important construct called hubris, H-U-B-R-I-S. Many of you know that that word literally means blaspheming the gods or extreme arrogance. It's a Greek word. Nothing to aspire to. How many of us have been told, oh, don't act like that. What will people think? Or don't say that, you sound arrogant. So if I say to you, vocal awareness is extraordinary work and can help you change your life in moments. Now that's stupid and arrogant, you'd hope I'd acknowledge. But if I say this, vocal awareness is extraordinary. It can help you change your life in moments. That's not arrogant. That's my truth.
Mm.
I don't know one elite athlete that I've trained over all these years, one elite artist I've trained over all these years, who is not completely hubristic in their skill set. It is the only way they achieve mastery. That athlete on the court or on the field doesn't hope his teammates approve. Hope the coach likes what I just did. That artist on the stage, of course, wants to be loved and stroked, but the moment my ego mind crosses the footlights, I can't serve my art. I'm totally in technique on that stage. I'm totally in the hubristic craft of mastery. So in vocal awareness, hubris is positive. It is not arrogance.
Mm.
It's helping us claim our birthright. We don't need permission. From who? There are even schools of communication that say you have to bond with your audience, for God's sakes. Well, what if this person has one point of view and what if somebody else has another? I can't serve you both. I'm not seeking approval. I'm being me. I'm not presenting me. That's not arrogant. It's claiming my power.
I see that.
And
Well, I'd love to open it up to our audience. If anyone has any questions for Arthur, you can put it in the chat and we can ask your question. And I'll just keep going. Did you want to say something? Did I interrupt you, Arthur?
I'll just finish with one thing. And if there are questions, just tell me to put a cork in it because I can't see the chat room.
Yeah.
And ESPN was one of my clients for many years. And one of the courses I taught was a leadership course. And I set up a role play this one day with 10 or 12 people in the class. And the chairman of the company at that time was a gentleman named John Skipper. And I sat him imaginarily at the end of the table. And I posed a question to the room. And with John Skipper in the room, they became like fourth graders. Me, notice me. It was crazy. Seeking approval. Sitting with a very, very globally famous chairman of a corporation who studied with me for a long time. And an exec meeting end of the day with people, a couple of whom had been with him over 2 decades. And after they left the room, the chairman says to me, "Did he really think that was worth anything, what he said?" And part of the point is, after all these decades, he was still trying to please this man, rather than owning who he is and being of value in this moment from a leadership perspective. So it's ubiquitous, is what I'm saying, in business, in life. And the takeaway here is, I don't want us to seek approval. I just want us to be in the integrity. Integrity, integration have the same root source. They mean wholeness. To be in the gestalt of who we are. And be in our deeper listening and feeling source pull through us. So I'll come up for air.
It's so surprising to me how deeply spiritual your work is, and it's really moving. I appreciate it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, over the 6 decades of teaching, you've worked with a diverse array of clients, from politicians to world-class athletes, as you referred to. Can you share a transformative experience you've facilitated that stands out for you?
Oh, there are so many. But
You probably have thousands.
Maybe. Let me begin with one that nobody would be aware of first. I'll give you a couple, but this one.
Yeah.
I was a professor at USC, University of Southern California, in the theater school. And in my first class, after class, I was talking to somebody on stage. Our class was in a place called the Bing Auditorium on campus. And I was talking with this student, and somebody tapped me on my shoulder, and I turned around and I saw this young woman with 2 hearing aids. Come to find out, she's deaf. And she said, "You can't pace while you're teaching. I'm reading your lips." She can't even hear a tape recorder. She's in my voice class. And I'd always believed I could teach a deaf person to sing, though I'd never tried. So we began the first semester with with her hand on my larynx like this, feeling vibration, and the other hand on the top of a beatled upright piano, feeling vibration. And we would vocalize like this: ya, ya, ya. Her first semester final: ya, 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 do, dare, mechanical like that. Second semester final, 20 feet out on the Bing Auditorium stage: ya, 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 do, dear. And the second song she chose to sing: Raindrops on Roses. She missed the first semester of her junior year, came back for the second, and there was a popular country tune at the time, Blue Bayou. And she sang it at a performance level, and you never would have known this child couldn't hear a lick. I mentioned Dwayne Wade the other day, a moment ago. Dwayne retired from the NBA a few years ago. He was inducted in the Naismith Hall of Fame this last August. My promise to everyone who studies with me is not to make you into someone you're not, but to bring out what's possible. Dwayne was raised on the south side of Chicago, fundamentally different language base. Big man, and often big men have heavy voices, lacking a forward presence. 4 months after we'd begun our relationship, there was a retirement event for him. He played for the Miami Heat. And there was a retirement event, 18 minutes. I have a trademark piece of this work called Visceral Language, where I annotate text. I'm a singer. I look at music. It tells me everything to do. We look at words. They're just words. But I annotate them. And they're all in the prompter like this. He walks out. We had been rehearsing for a couple of weeks, but he walks out without having had a dress rehearsal. First time he ever read teleprompter. First time he ever read prepared remarks. And you hear this voice and you see this man. It's on my website. It's just brilliant. His Hall of Fame speech is also there if anybody's interested. It was stunning in front of 18,000 plus people and millions online. He owned his voice. He owned his presence. He owned his power. And it was Dwayne Wade. And, you know, I was the vocal director in the movie Annie. And I met Aileen Quinn, who played Annie. She was 9 years old and 45 pounds. And really tiny little munchkin. And on Monday, we had our first lesson. She had an octave and a half range. On Thursday, she had a cold. In the first pre-recording session, you put the voice in and then you lip sync it in the film. And I go into the booth. I'm a third base coach. Nobody does this. This is all just local awareness. Nobody goes into a booth with an artist. But the executive producer said, sure, go ahead. And she does Tomorrow in one take. She now had a 3.5 octave range. And it all shifted just like that. And so, I mean, there are a gazillion stories like this.
Yeah, that's amazing. What about Tony Robbins? I'd love to hear how that went.
Well, that's so interesting you ask. I first trained Tony over 30 years ago.
Amazing.
And I told him when we first met that, Tony, we cannot empower people. That's arrogant. But we can help them empower themselves. That's this work. I now teach for him. I'll be there again in July, teaching 1,600 people in virtual at his leadership academy, and also training as trainers. And, you know, I love the relationship. I love the work. And Tony and I are actually speaking in a couple of weeks for the first time in like 30 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Looking very forward, because there's much we have to share with one another.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he does extraordinary work out there, but vocal awareness is the missing piece. And so I see it. How can we stay in that space that you what?
Yeah. Before we get to these questions, we have a couple of questions in there. I'd love to play another clip from Stream Plus, Achieve, Reclaim, and Command Your Destiny. And you talk about one of your celebrity clients. Yeah, and then we'll get to these questions in the chat.
One of my students was a man named, arguably considered the greatest football player in America to ever play the game for the NFL, Jerry Rice. And he was known for his workouts and how hard he worked year after year. And after Jerry completed one of the exercises that you will learn, he said, Arthur, this is hard work. I said, Jerry, you've never said that sentence in your entire life. You're having a voice lesson, for goodness gracious. But what he meant was, this is mind, body, spirit. He had trained himself in mind, body, spirit as an elite athlete. But that he then left that mastery on the field.
So this is not complicated work.
Uh-huh.
but it is complex work.
Mm.
We make it complicated. And so I approach it with what I call the KISS approach. Keep it simple, sweetheart. And so
Wonderful. Well, I wanted to share some questions from the chat. I am almost 84 years old and live alone, and I don't use my voice much. Hence, it's tired. Sounds like a cracking voice, and I hate to talk to anyone because it sounds so bad. How can I improve and talk like I'm 50 years younger?
well, the Jerry Rice was a perfect example. You know, that old Henny Youngman joke. Henny Youngman was a Jewish Borscht Belt comedian from the 30s, 40s, 50s. And there's that stupid old joke. He stops a passerby in New York and asks, "How do you get to Carnegie Hall?" And the passerby simply says, "Practice, practice, practice." And so you go to Carnegie Hall today, you can buy a t-shirt on the front, it says Carnegie Hall. On the back, it actually says practice, practice, practice. And so our muscles age, our larynx ages as our body ages. Muscles atrophy, our larynx being a muscle, atrophies like any other muscle in the body from disuse. So in this work, we really refine pressure flow. If we use our breath, we create these nasal sounds because it creates resonance, which literally creates laryngeal strength, muscular strength in my voice, literally. I'm not going to get a peak on our larynx like we do on a bicep, but it does get stronger. And I have a whole singing series, for example, aside from all these other programs I've created. Singing is a really beautiful way. If you're near a church, a synagogue, someplace that has a choir, join it. They want your body, and just literally join in. But set yourself a short-term goal of trying this work for a month, and set yourself a short-term goal within that month. This is my goal today for 7 minutes. Maybe I'll do another 7 minutes in the afternoon. This is my goal for the week. And you do all of the work practicing on a mirror so that you can observe and you can have zero judgment. Be loving and patient. And I swear to you, the work works.
Mm. That's so beautiful. And I did that recently. I joined the choir at my church, and I really enjoy being in community and singing together. And it's good for me, right? It's building the muscle. The larynx.
And also speaking is spasmodic, muscle shorten and lengthen. But when we sing, because we hold pitch, the extended pressure flow really is great for the larynx.
Oh, good to know. We have another question. Christina asks, how can we stay in that space that you helped us with in the beginning once we start talking? Any tips to keep us from falling back into the habit of speaking? And she says, another note, even as I was typing this question, my heart started beating out of my chest. My hands started to shake. How can I rein this in?
Same way you get to Carnegie Hall. In vocal awareness, still doesn't count. It's so interesting. I talked about the two greatest fears. What's the trembling and shaking all about, for goodness gracious? But it's true. It's real. So all we do is first put ourselves in stature, and not perfunctorily, but earnestly. We thank Source. We follow the 7 rituals of vocal awareness. Notice I didn't just say we follow the 7 rituals of vocal awareness. What I said was we follow the 7 rituals of vocal awareness. There's a different level of listening going on. Feel how I've just done with my voice and my quality right now that you feel from 1,500 miles away via the internet, for goodness gracious. And we devote ourselves earnestly, lovingly. We didn't say to our 4-year-old we didn't say to our 20-month-old, you have to be walking better than every kid's doing better than you. We never did that. Wow, he sat up today. He rolled over. Every seemingly insignificant discovery is a milestone because it never happened before. That's how we approach the evolution of our voice and the seventh ritual of vocal awareness is be myself. It's 3 words with a capital S. It's not be myself, not 2 words. Be myself, capital S. Enabling us to be who we are. To the individual who wrote, I'm 84 and I don't use my voice much. I'm not far behind. I'm 78. And my voice is still going strong. I got more, I'm full of hot air, so I got a lot of pressure flow I can use. But this is all reclaimable. Just because you don't have it now doesn't mean that this is it forever. You can reclaim, recapture your birthright. And that's the God's honest truth. But it takes work, and it takes serving, and it takes conscious awareness and complete dedication in the same daily, weekly, 1-month commitment. Once you've done that, everything else becomes a footnote because it feeds on itself. You're muted, Charissa. I can't hear anything.
Sorry, I was trying to get help from the tech team, but I just got it. So Thank you. So I have my own dog barking in the background, so I'm muted, but then I couldn't unmute myself. So apologize for that now.
Mine's now a doorstop next.
Oh, okay. Okay, wonderful. Well, can you discuss the implications of losing the art of public discourse for society?
Yeah, that's an important question.
Okay.
We're in the most dangerous time in our world ever. In many circles, truth is literally no longer considered truth. Lies abound. This isn't a political statement, but on one level it is. There's a man who wants to repeat, I never use his name, and become president again. He's a demagogue. I think many of us recognize that. I hope so. But there are also millions of people who think the world is still flat and follow in his footsteps. And if you compare the way this man communicates with clips of Hitler, it's the same intensity, the same pitch, the same drama, because that quality of communication usurps our power if we're open to having it taken away. I call this period in our lives the fingers and thumbs generation. Texting is not communicating, it's texting. We're losing the art of public discourse. We don't even look one another in the eye. Those lovely letters that Abigail Adams wrote her husband, John. Then the late 19th century, Alexander Graham Bell invented a telephone. We stopped writing those beautiful letters, simplistically speaking. Then 40 years later, radio. We stopped talking. We listen. Now television and the internet. Voice is the most intimate art form. The root of the word intimate, intimus, means intrinsic or essential. I want your sovereignty so that demagogues around the world cannot usurp that power. I want you to own your power and claim it for yourself and share who you are with others because it's vibration, it's energy. How many times today have I shared you feel the difference in your space through the way I communicate with you? That's powerful. So imagine if you piggybacked on this and you did this in your community. I haven't missed a day of prayer and meditation in 57 years.
That's impressive.
I don't say it for that reason, but thank you.
Yeah.
I met I was in a seminar decades ago, 40, 50 years ago, with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who created transcendental meditation. And I heard him say that he wanted to have 1 billion meditators on the planet to shift the vibration of the planet. I want to have 1 billion people doing vocal awareness to shift the vibration of the planet. This is energy. It's vibration. And we need it now.
I feel that passion, that fire within you. Amazing. I have a few more questions from the chat. The first fear was abandonment. I couldn't make out the second fear.
Ownership of my power. Claiming me and not being afraid of what you think of me while I'm being me. And unfortunately, I only have a couple of minutes, so I don't get to the whole list, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand. And someone was asking about the 7 rituals.
Yes. Stature is preparation for everything we do. The first ritual, as I've already acknowledged, is to say thank you to Source. The second is to love and let go. The third is to allow a slow, silent, conscious, loving breath and enjoy it while I do so. This is very hedonistic work. We do it because it feels good. The fourth is to see the edge and arc of sound. It's a warm-up technique and a communication technique. Right now, I'm speaking to you in an effective way, but now I add the edge and arc to it. And you hear the amplitude of my voice change, the resonance change. It's connected to the law of physics called the Bernoulli effect. The fifth ritual is take my time. In communication, it is never how fast, it is only how effective. Nothing is gained by going too fast, but potentially everything is lost. The sixth ritual, as I've already identified, is pay attention, deeper listening. It's where we tune in intra and interpersonally to what I refer to as the deeper self, this conversation between source and self that I'm only privy to, and integrate it, embody it through this outer voice, through the communication I share publicly. And the seventh one I've already said is not present myself, it is be myself. And as Hennessus just put up there to everyone, while standing or sitting in stature at all times, and always feeling this thread pulling. It is not static. We don't just get there and we don't just do it in our warm-up. We live in that state, claiming who we are and feeling source move through us.
Beautiful. Well, what are some of the benefits from your program, Achieve, Reclaim, and Command Your Destiny on the Stream platform?
I hope you change your life.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I am so grateful that I was able to learn from you today and that everyone here was able
Thank you, Sue.
to absorb your wisdom. Yes, yes. So, yes, we have some wonderful comments in the chat. An Arthur Samuel Joseph series, Achieve, Reclaim, and Command Your Destiny, is available on the Stream Plus platform. So join now and gain immediate access to this empowering program. And if you're not a member, you can actually unlock the first module. So it's really exciting that we have that feature. And if you're not a member, I'd highly encourage you to join to get access to Arthur's course and other incredible spiritual teachers and programs. We're proud to say that Humanities Stream Plus is the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising, masterclasses, and transformational education. So we also give back with our 1-for-1 program, sharing our content with those who can't afford the membership. And I wanted to thank Steve Farrell, Dee Meyer, the production team, Jim Gray, Garth Catterall, Abby Johnson, Nanette Kennedy, and the rest of our incredible humanities team. And thank you, Arthur, for sharing your wisdom with all of us.
You're welcome. And should anybody want to read any of my articles, see any of my videos, just go to vocalawareness.com and you'll have so much content there that help support you in your journey, becoming and being the very best you can be. Hennes just put it there in the chat room. Thank you, Genesis. God bless you, everybody. And thank you, Charissa. Thank you, dear Steve. Have a lovely day, team.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.